Okay, we're now recording. And two, when I finish with this, I'll send you this presentation so that you guys can use it internally if you want to do that, dress it up, change things around, whatever makes sense for you. Okay. So first of all, thanks for making the call. I know these trainings are things that you're not necessarily used to doing, and I did check with Justin right before I hopped on this call because I remembered that call got canceled and I wasn't sure if he ever rescheduled with you. Did you get your users set up and your e-manager training done?
No.
Okay. Well, he's got another message from me.
Keep backed up. We gotta get.
And I also got to get us our own cards and go through the process. So we just switched banks
Okay.
because Bank of America I told you what they were doing.
Yep.
They were holding our checks for like 10 days and not allowed to do that. So
Right.
anyway, I went to First Trust. So now that I have the banking information, I can get that done tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll look for that and, just reach out if you feel like you're having any challenges with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get going here. Let's get the show on the road and there we go. So what we'll do today is you've met me and you've met some of your team. In fact, I think you met all your team on that initial kickoff call. But we'll talk a little bit about EFS and WEX as a whole. We'll go through the Crossroads Freight program specifically. Fuel Cards 101, to me, that is helping you understand the why. These cards are different than most of what is out there, and that's why they're so heavily used and why they're important to the industry. So we'll talk about that. The selling strategy is basically a one-pager that compares your program to Comdata, to a credit card, even to EFS. And EFS partners, which will be your largest competitors will be EFS and EFS partners. Okay. And then we don't really have contract documentation any longer, but I'll leave this in here just because there's a couple of things about doing the electronic application I want to keep you guys very aware of. It's important to be able to communicate this to your customers to help prevent a whole lot of back and forth on applications. And then just any Q&A that you have at the end, but feel free to ask questions along the way too. Okay. All right. So let's get into the program details. So we call this a fuel purchase card or a fleet card. You will never hear us call it a credit card. We don't have the ability on this card to bill monthly and let you wait 15 to 27 days to pay it. We auto draft that sucker every week, twice a week, right? So I know some of your customers may have other terms, and we will look at meeting terms. If they have other terms with us already, those are grandfathered, so they should be able to keep any terms they currently have with us. The caveat there is if they're on a WEX product instead of an EFS product, WEX does have monthly terms. Theirs is more like a credit card. So we would not honor monthly terms. About the most I've ever seen us do would be like weekly with maybe a few days to pay. So just kind of keep that in mind. Some people, their accounting system is a reason that they want terms a certain way. Sometimes it's just because it's what they're used to doing. Most of the time it's not an issue, but I also just, because it seems very locked in on the application, I just want you to know there are alternatives if they need different payment terms. Okay. So we call it a fuel purchase card because it does a lot of things that are strictly fuel and transportation related that other types of cards just don't really consider. One of the things that happens in this world is that truck stops, they don't like the idea of paying 3% interchange on a $1,000 ticket. So that's one of the reasons that merchants like our card, because their interchange is significantly lower. And the way we do that with them, we also get contracted cash pricing with them. So instead of paying a credit price with our card, you'll automatically get cash price. Credit price in the truck stop world is 6 to 8 cents a gallon higher. So on every 100-gallon purchase, you're losing $6 to $8 just in those fees, right? Now they don't get out scot-free because we do charge $1.75 for that privilege, right? But the other piece is they'll never get a discount on a MasterCard or a Visa.
Right.
They can get less than the posted cash price with our card, and it's built in order to allow that to happen.
So they're paying actually on a credit card, they're paying 3% of their swipe.
Right.
Well,
So-
the customer basically whenever a merchant of any kind charges you a credit price, they're basically trying to cover their interchange, right? That's the reason they charge you a credit price. I mean, I'm seeing it in the restaurants I go into these days. If you use a credit card, they want to charge you an extra 3 or 3.5%. So the truck stop's no different. They're trying to get out of, and when you think of how many transactions they do, it's a lot of money.
Time out.
Yep.
You saying that we don't do that?
Yeah, ours is cash price or less.
So it's cash price plus $1.75.
Plus $1.75. That's right.
Okay, that is significantly lower.
Yeah, and that's only in the rear court too, Rennie. It's only where the high-speed diesel pumps are. If they use your card in the forecourt, there's no swipe fee.
Okay, so no swipe fee for gas.
Yeah, for gas and auto diesel, where consumers usually buy their fuel.
In the forecourt.
Okay.
Okay. All right, that's good to know.
Now, we also don't charge a monthly active card fee.
We what?
A monthly active card fee. And you will see that in our competitors like Fuelman and even WEX. They charge like a $2 active card fee per month. So we don't charge that on this side. We do, however, charge a $7.95 monthly activity fee, monthly account management fee is what it's called. And just to give you an idea of what the benefit of that is, if your customer was to come to me and want to get a card directly from me, I would charge him $99 a month, whether he's got one card or 1,000 cards. On your program, you'll only charge $7.95 for that. So it's a good benefit, and it helps us to push some of these, especially smaller fleets, to our partners.
Is it per card?
No, it's just a monthly account management fee. So it's once per month when you have an active transaction in your account. If you don't have an active transaction, the fee won't be charged.
Okay, that's not big.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the $7.95 is non-active or active? Like
No,
the
it's
one-
just
For an active account. It's only charged if it's an active account, if they're transacting in a calendar month.
$2.95. It's like nothing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, our payment terms are twice a week auto draft. So we in our contract with them indicate that we will bill them on Mondays and Thursdays, and we will draft their account on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, was it Allison?
Allison.
Okay, Allison. So I mentioned, hey, you might run into some folks who want different terms. If they just want different days, that's typically not a problem. You just notify your sales support specialist when that application arrives. Hey, they want to do this they want to be auto drafted on Mondays and Thursdays, right? So that's not a big deal. But we only have Tuesdays and Fridays because for the most part in the trucking world,
Yeah.
that's the most advantageous days for us to do it.
Okay.
By drafting it on Fridays, it almost always helps them get through the weekend if they have issues, right? So this is part of the rationale behind the Tuesday, Friday drafts. And then another thing that, even though you do have some cash services on a credit card, like you can go to an ATM and get a cash advance, they charge you an arm and a leg for that, right? With our card, you have two different types of cash service opportunities. So the cheapest way to get cash over the road is make a fuel purchase and indicate that you want to get cash at the same time. Then you can go into the fuel desk, get a couple $100, and it only costs you $1. Okay. So if you think about it, it costs you $1.75 for the fuel transaction and $1 more to get the cash. The reason we even charge for the cash is because that's money that we're responsible for, that we don't make any money off of if we don't charge for it.
Right. It's like going into a bar and they have like a.
Well, when you go to a bar, it's $5.
Yeah.
Right.
$2.65.
So if you think about it from that perspective, I love the fact that we give cash at the fuel desk. Most truck stop fuel desks do have cash on hand to do that very thing, but also it has ATM access. So if I go to a truck stop and, time is money for me as a truck driver and the fuel desk is backed up, I can easily go over to the ATM, use it just like I could use a credit card to get cash out of the ATM. Only difference is it's just $3.75. So I'm not paying according to how much I'm drafting or anything like that at the ATM. I would say this though, most ATMs, as you probably are familiar with, unless you're using their bank card, they charge a service fee. So if you think about me going to the ATM, yeah, I'm going to pay $3.75 instead of maybe $2.75 along with the fuel purchase and get it at the desk. I'm going to pay a full $3.75 plus whatever the resident ATM charge is. So it could be $8.75 if that ATM charges $5, right?
Right.
The other money related service we have is the third one on here, which is money codes. And if you've ever heard of a T-check or a fast check or a com check or anything like that, most of those products are ours. Com check is not our product. That's our competitor's product. But what they are, it's an algorithm that allows you to write a check that's guaranteed funds. And anybody who accepts that now is the owner of those funds. It spawned years ago. Comdata was the first one to do it with a com check. Western Union went on strike, and they had relationships with co-ops all across the country.
Yeah.
And they figured out that we could create this check system to guarantee funds. They weren't going to bounce. So we've done the same thing. Now it is our most insecure product. A lot of companies get frauded out of their check codes. And it's something that you have to be very protective of. But a lot of companies will use these anytime they can't use their card. So for example, I'm broken down on the side of the road. He won't take my, my EFS card. And perhaps I don't have another type of credit card. They'll usually take a money code. They can deposit them in their bank like any check, and it's good funds, right? Other guys will use these to pay lumpers. And if you aren't familiar with lumpers, that's the guys who unload the trucks. So when I go and I get my truck unloaded and there's a couple of guys there and I need to give them some cash for unloading the truck, a money code is a great way to do that. There's even some automation at a lot of warehouses on money codes when you get there. So the reason it's a good instrument for that is I can give a driver, say, $1,000 money code. And he can break that down into multiple draws. So I can give this guy 200 and that guy 200, and then I've still got $600 left on that.
Right.
Right.
So it's like a Zelle.
A little bit. It's an old-fashioned Zelle.
Western Union.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's where we're going, Rennie. We want to have it be more like an electronic peer-to-peer product, like a Zelle. I'm not sure why that has been so hard to crack, especially since we're an industrial bank. It seems like that would be easier to do than has happened so far, but it is on the roadmap. So the other thing I would tell you about these, if you notice, it says $3.75 per $500 increment. First of all, you guys make the 75 cents off of that $3.75, okay? But every time they go over $500, so if it's a $700 money code, that's going to be $7.50. Okay. You'll make another 25 cents for the additional draws. So you'd make $1.50 on a $750 money code. And you would also make 25 cents if it's broken down more than once. So every time it's broken down, there's another 25 cents that you guys would make on that. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about fuel pricing. Rennie, I know you're very, very on top of this, but there are really three pricing strategies that are out there. You either get your fuel for pump price, right? Whatever it says on the pump, credit price, if you're using a credit card. But when it comes to discounting, you have three options: retail less, cost plus, and better of. So retail less is very simple. It's easy for a driver to understand. Hey, we want you to stop at Pilot Flying J's because when you stop there, you're going to get 10 cents off retail. You and I can understand that. I see the sign price is $4.99 and I know I'm going to get it for $4.89.
I was asked, hold on, I was asked today, you gave me the discounts. Do they change daily or weekly or monthly, or the discount?
Oh, they can change every day. Now the discount itself doesn't change, but obviously the retail price does. So if it's this next solution, a cost plus solution, you will see the value of retail versus the discount change every single day, right? So that's because if they change the retail price on the sign, let's say you've got a cost plus 10 deal, right? And today's sign price is $4.99 and the margin is 70 cents. Well, at cost plus 10, that means I'm going to keep only 10 cents of that margin as a merchant, right? So now there's 60 cents that goes into the pocket of maybe the aggregator partner or the end user, or that split between the two of them. So now all of a sudden there's 60 cents per gallon at play. And when you look at pricing in our app, what it will do is it will automatically calculate that, right? So you'll know retail and then you'll know the discounted price. And today that price may be 67 cents off, and tomorrow that price may be 89 cents off, and the day after that, that price may be 42 cents, just depending on how they move retail around versus the cost plus deal. And when fuel prices are really volatile, like they are right now because of the Iran war, you will see a lot of fuel movement. They're always anticipating, hey, is this war over? Hey, is this war going to escalate? Hey, this, so anytime a barrel of oil goes up, you're going to see fuel prices go up very quickly. When a barrel of oil goes down, you're going to see fuel prices come down very slowly. Okay. They want to maximize that margin for as long as they possibly can.
Right.
So in a cost plus world, a driver can't understand that. And that's why he needs our app. Right. So when he downloads our app and he says, I'm going from point A to point B, our app will show him every available location on that route, and it'll put the cheapest one at the top. And that's regardless of discount. If its retail price is cheaper than any other discounted site, that's what's going to the top. If the discounted price makes it cheaper than any other site, that's what's going to the top. Okay. So what that does is it helps him to understand when I'm traveling this route, I'm making a good buying decision by going at the best price location. The best example that I can give you of this is that if you go across the country, Pilot Flying J, Love's, TA Petro, they're all about 30 cents a gallon higher on average than a lot of the mom and pops and smaller chains out there. So if I'm Pilot and I give you a 20-cent discount, I'm probably still 10 cents higher than the mom and pop across the street. Okay, so the discount's very persuasive and it does win them a lot of business, but they may not still be paying or getting their best fuel price. So that's where this tool comes in handy. It helps them understand within a 25-mile radius where the best price is and also along their route. So they just put in point A, point B, boom, it figures it out for them so they don't have to think real hard about it. And in those cost plus deals, now I understand the size of the discount. And I understand the value of the discount because it's not just 10 cents off, right? It may be 33 cents today or 74 cents tomorrow. So I can see all that right in front of me. The other thing about the app is it will reflect prices with I want to call it a staleness meter, right? If it's an older price, you can see that it's an older price because by the time you get in there, it may have changed, right? And the quickest way that a price gets updated is when one of our card holders actually runs our card. As soon as we have the new price captured from that fueling, we update the price for everyone. Okay. And as accurate as it is, it's never totally accurate. There's all kinds of reasons that prices end up being wrong. You'll even notice in our app, we caveat, hey, we're not responsible for the discount that you see in the app. This is based on true and accurate information at the time. So that's why having a staleness meter to understand how old a price is important. And then the last of those pricing strategies is what's called better of. So in our independent network that you guys are part of, there's about 5,000 locations that have a discount. Everything is either retail minus or cost plus better of retail minus. And in all those cost plus better retail minuses, the retail minus is 0. So basically what that says is cost plus will never exceed retail. So what it does is it puts a cap on how high cost plus can go. If a barrel of oil goes up really quick, cost plus can be higher than retail. So you never want the customer to pay higher than retail. So this is a measure that we use. Now, a lot of asset-based trucking companies will do the same thing, only their deals will be maybe cost -5, retail -15, right? So if cost minus ever goes above retail, which it shouldn't, obviously, but it can, ever goes above retail, then the retail price would prevail. It would be retail -15 that would prevail. All right. Any questions about that?
No, not at the moment. I'm
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit in here. The other thing is, beginning back in August, we'll turn up the forecourt discount network. So when you use your card to buy gas or auto diesel, there will be discounts in the forecourt as well. Now, margins are smaller in the forecourt than they are in the rear court where the big rigs fuel.
Okay.
Margins in the rear court today on average are probably somewhere between 70 and 80 cents, and kind of a blended average across the country. In the forecourt, much smaller than that, maybe 20 cents. Okay, so you'll notice that discounts in the forecourt are always less than they are in the rear court. About the highest forecourt discount I'm aware of in our discount network is 15 cents, and that's at TA, the truck stop, which is kind of ironic. But on average, I think those discounts sit around 6 to 8 cents a gallon. Okay.
Are you implementing your 8 cents on August 1st?
Yeah. It's supposed to be turned back up in August, Rennie, but I don't know the day. So I'll see if I can get an ETA on that.
Okay, cool.
All right. So one of the things that makes this card unique and really separates it from credit cards and debit cards is that, A, we own the entire network. So when you own the entire network, that means anybody who's a part of that network, if they need something, they call you. So if the merchant needs something, they call us. If the carrier needs something, they call us. If the partner needs something, they call us. So everybody calls us in all situations because we own the network. It is a closed loop network, unlike MasterCard, Visa, Amex. Those are all open loop networks. So they can't run on our network, and we don't run on their network. And we do all the servicing around our network. Because we own the network, we have built level 3 capability. So as you look at this slide, this will just kind of show you the difference between what a debit card will do at the very bottom in green there. Very minimum details. If you think about it, if you go to your local little gas and convenience station and you buy something that's $8.88, you may not even know if that was a gas purchase or if it was cookies and milk inside the store. Right. Okay. You'll know the store and you'll know the amount, but you won't necessarily know what the product was. So that is level 1, basic transaction identifier. Level 2, which you'll see in corporate cards, is that now all of a sudden you can capture the number of gallons. Really important for fuel tax purposes in the transportation industry. You can capture sales tax, really important if you're trying to take care of things net of taxes or if you're a tax exempt organization. The cost per gallon, the grade of fuel, and just more specific line item details. So all very important, all necessary for fuel tax reporting, but by itself doesn't give you what you have to have for fuel tax reporting. So if I use a debit card or even a corporate credit card, I also have to turn in my receipts. Once you move to level 3, our reporting, you don't have to turn in receipts any longer because all the details necessary for fuel tax reporting are in the report.
Okay.
Okay. So I love this for owner operators, and I love it for company drivers too. But if you've ever been in the cab of a truck and they got to maintain their receipts, you're going to see receipts all over the cab, right? They're in the floorboard and the glove box and on top of the, the windowsill and everything, right? So they can get out of that with our reporting. Now, that doesn't necessarily stop for everybody. Some of them have practices, right? Companies, hey, I want your receipts anyway, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean that much to maybe a company driver if his company is unwilling to just live with that or go by that ruling. But for an owner operator, he still has the same fuel tax requirements as a company. So for him to no longer have to maintain receipts is a very positive thing. Okay. And if you think about level 3, there's two components to that. One is the fronting component. So we can capture additional details about a purchase. And by that, I mean, when you go to the pump at the rear court of a truck stop, that's a completely different point of sale system than you and I are used to when we buy gas. So when you go back there, it can prompt for things like a trip number, a trailer number, a tractor number, an employee ID, an odometer reading, a GL code. It can prompt for a lot of different things. And as a company, you can decide, what do we want it to prompt for? What do we want to capture, right? So you want to capture everything necessary for fuel tax reporting, but maybe because of the way our accounting system works, we want a GL code in there. So now all of a sudden it just runs straight through to our accounting system and I don't have to do any manual entry. So that's what the value of level 3 does from a prompting standpoint. And then on the back end, from a reporting standpoint, all of that is captured. So if you do any great integrations with us at all, any one of those data elements that's captured, you could fully import into some other software, whether it be an accounting package or TMS or something like that. Okay. Any questions about level 3?
No.
All right. Okay. Now we're going to elementary school. This is your card type we call it CT7 internally, and that represents Crossroads Freight. So you'll notice that it'll work for a class 1 through a class 8 vehicle. Class 7 and 8 are typically heavy duty. Class 6, 7 are medium duty, and anything less than class 6 is light duty. Most of those classes from about 6 through 8 can and will fuel at a high-speed diesel pump because it saves time. And I don't know if you've ever been to the back of a truck stop, but there's a lot of reasons truck stops are built the way they are, right? They have really high canopies because these tractor trailers are very tall, and they need easy access and egress because they're very long. And because time is money for these guys, in the rear court, most of the places you go will have satellite pumps. So when I authorize this pump, I can actually fill up each tank on both sides of my truck at the same time. Okay. Also, they call them high speed because they literally have more volume output per second than what you and I are used to in the forecourt when we put gas or auto diesel in our cars.
What, 25 gallons per minute?
That sounds about 25 per minute. I don't know if it's quite that much, Rennie.
I think it is.
It could be. It could be. And of course, if you're able to fuel both tanks at the same time, you're cutting your time in half. So having satellite pumps is a real positive for these guys as well. Why do they need this card? To purchase diesel fuel at truck stops historically. But with the hybridization of the gas and convenience network on your card, also now I can talk to anybody, right? He doesn't have to be a heavy duty trucking company. He could be a local dump truck company for all I care, because now I can service that guy too because my card allows that. And just to give you an idea, the proprietary truck stop part of your card, it works at 99.9% of all truck stops, and that's an unattended stop. That is a retail stop like you're familiar with, a chain type of merchant. And it will even work at terminal fuel sites as long as the customer has the right POS on their terminal. So if I have yard fuel, something you guys work with, and I have the right POS, I can actually swipe my card, or your card in this instance, and I can authorize that purchase, and I can track the gallons that went into that vehicle.
Okay.
Okay. Another reason that especially truck drivers frequent truck stops is because they're built for truck drivers, right? They have amenities that they can use. Typically, they'll have a nice restaurant or some good place to eat. They'll have all the gas and convenience stuff you're used to as well. But they have showers, and a lot of them will have lounges and, just other ways to take care of drivers. And the reason that becomes more and more important these days, parking is another one, is because A, parking is at a premium and it's hard to find. And B, when my life is on the road, I need a place that I can shower. And I'm also forced to have to take breaks because of the hours of service rules. So I kind of look at it this way. A driver typically is going to stop at a truck stop 3 times a day. And one of those times he's likely going to make a fuel purchase. The other times he may just be taking his break. So if you think about that and the card and how it's used inside of a truck stop as well as outside of a truck stop, this starts to make a little bit of sense about the simplicity of a driver's life, right? Being able to help a driver in what he does. The other thing is, we don't care what type of carrier type or what type of driver they are. This works in all environments. Now, in the heavy trucking world, OTR, most cards are assigned to the driver. Owner operators don't particularly care, but usually it's assigned to the driver in an owner operator environment as well. And the reason for that is because now it makes the card holder responsible for his card. And it really doesn't matter what truck he's in. When he goes to the point of sale, they're going to ask him, what's your tractor ID? You put that ID in, now my purchase on my card is logged for that tractor. In the lighter duty world, most people historically have done that as unit assigned. So in other words, the driver doesn't carry the card. It's usually in the cab of the truck, or it's in the glove box of the car, or they have to check it out before they leave that day. The difference here is that in the forecourt, and this was really predicated by how forecourt POS works versus rear court POS. In the forecourt, there's typically only 2 prompts that you can put in: a driver ID and an odometer reading. Now, some of it's more sophisticated than that, so you can find some that do more, but that's the only 2 that are universal: a driver ID and an odometer reading. In the rear court, right, I can capture all those things and more. So I can capture a unit number. I can capture other things related to that tractor. Trailer number is a big one. So the POS allows that. If the forecourt ever moves around to that, I think almost everyone would do a driver assigned card instead of unit assigned. The reason I mention this is because it will come up. If you are dealing with anybody who's used to using a unit assigned card, they rarely want to change it. I try to convince them as much as possible, but if they're still going to be in the forecourt, it's still going to be challenging. So just keep that in mind as you think about who the client is that signed up. If you know that they're more of a local fleet, they're likely going to want unit assigned cards, and that is an ask up front, and it doesn't say it in the application process. So it's a good idea to know so that we can make sure we send them cards appropriate to their needs. Okay, it's the same card, but we'll put a unit number on it. If it's a driver assigned card, we don't put a unit number on it, right? Because it's in his wallet all the time. So he doesn't, and it doesn't matter what unit he's driving. He just says the unit that he's in. All right. Also, internally through our software, if you want to assign units to cards, you can do that. If a card moves on to another unit, you can change that assignment. So it's very, very limber as far as how you use it, how it gets assigned. If a driver left your employee, turns his card back in, you can reassign that card. Okay. So what makes this card different? Well, it's your branding. So everybody's going to see that. I think, is it right? Oh, well, shoot, you saw it earlier. I'll show it again later. So they're going to see that USDD branding. It is compliant to trucking company needs and standards. And this is the largest proprietary network of truck stops in the country. Somewhere between 12 and 14,000 merchants accept our card in the US. About 12,000 of those are truck stops. The other 2,000 do other things. They could be repair shops. They could be truck washes. They could be a number of different things. So we do have some non-fuel vendors that are a part of our merchant network. From the gas and convenience side, more than 200,000 accepting locations. And that's 95% of all that's out there. So if you think about it, you go to an intersection with 4 sites, there's a good chance all 4 accept our card, but maybe one of them doesn't.
Right.
Okay. The reporting and raw data. So especially in the trucking world, a lot of these guys seek integrations. The bigger they are, the more they seek integrations because they're trying to make their business life easier and more accurate. So we can give them reporting in any fashion that they need. We can give them APIs. We can give them FTP sites. We can give them any number of ways for them to access that reporting and import it into their own systems. The other thing I would say, and this is very unique to this type of card product too, is the control functionality, right? You can't do a whole lot with a credit card or a debit card as far as controlling spend. With this card, I can say how many gallons you can buy a day. I can say how many days a week you can fuel. I can say what hours of the day you can fuel. If I run a 3-shift operation Monday through Friday and Saturday and Sunday, nobody should be in my rigs putting any fuel in them. I can turn them off for Saturday and Sunday only. So from that standpoint, and it's flexible too. If I need to change a limit on the fly, I can, or if I need to do an override on a limit, I can do that on the fly. The cool thing about that is if you think about it, most of the times that would happen in our regular user interface, eManager. But if I'm not in the office or if it's after hours, they can use our carrier control mobile app to do those, to accomplish those same tasks. That is a godsend for a lot of these guys who get late night calls. Because historically they'd either have to call us, get somebody on the phone in customer service, try to authorize something to be done, or go into the office. So with this handheld app, I can now do this right from my home. Or I can get on the road. If I'm an owner operator, if you think about an owner operator, he would have both the carrier control mobile app and the card control mobile app. He'd have the card control mobile app for his fuel finder and some other things that he needs as a driver, but he'd have the carrier mobile app because he's also the owner. So he'd be able to pay his bills. He'd be able to send money codes. He'd be able to do virtually anything else from that app that he needs to do.
What is the name of the app again, Dean?
The owner app is called Carrier Control, and you would find it in the App Store under WEX Carrier Control. And the fuel finder is Card Control, and you would find that under WEX Card Control. Okay. Let's see. We also have complementary products. We already talked about cash services. We do temporary trip and fuel permits. There's not a huge need for those these days because the permit authorities have really changed the way they do things. We do get them on occasion. We do still get a lot of over-dimensional permits. So if you're calling on anyone that has a flatbed, if they haul anything that's too tall or too wide or too long or too heavy, they have to have an over-dimensional permit to haul that virtually anywhere. So we can handle that requirement for them. And we've done it for years and do a very good job of that. We also work with a Canadian authority for Canadian permits called NOVA. So they can call us even to get a Canadian related permit. And then fuel management is a module inside of our eManager program. That's to help them do like driver scorecarding and understand fuel pricing and some things like that. I don't have nearly as many folks use that as maybe should or could. Since you guys are doing consulting for them, that may be something that you take advantage of to some degree. The other thing is factoring. And if you're not familiar with the term, all that really is accounts receivable financing. We are a top 5 factor in the United States. We are one of 2 of the top 5 factors that are a bank. And because we're a bank, we have great cost of funds, so we can get very competitive on factoring.
Okay.
Okay. And I think we signed you up for factoring too, didn't we, Rennie?
Yes, we
Okay.
are,
So you guys would have a factoring rep assigned. I can't remember if that's been done yet or not. If it hasn't, we need to take care of that. And then we have some other products too. We've got a great set of we have a national tire discount program, 8 different lines of tires. What was that?
You have a tire discount program?
We do. It has 8 lines of tires. The top line is Michelin. Across all lines, the average discount per tire is $40. An average discount on a Michelin is about $120. And when you think about how many tires these guys go through in a year, that's a lot of money.
do we get commission on that?
Very little.
Okay.
Unfortunately, well, maybe fortunately, right? We're trying to pass as much of that discount through to them. Where we make our money on that, I think there is a little bit of margin, and we have shared some of that with some partners in the past. Most partners we don't share it with, but we really make the money if they use our card to buy the tire, so we get the interchange from that purchase. Okay, and you would get the interchange from that purchase as well on your card. So I call this the 5 C's, right? These are the things that I think are really important about this card. It controls purchasing by product, quantity, unit, driver day, location, all that stuff. Convenience, it's accepted virtually everywhere, right? We already know that it's accepted at almost every single truck stop. In fact, the only times I've ever seen it not work at a truck stop when you swipe the card is if it's been an ownership change and they haven't updated anything, or they just don't know who we are, or they're so far off the beaten path that they never get any business. Those are the only times I ever run into it. If it's a truck stop on an interstate, you can guarantee you're going to be able to use your card there.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the acceptance of the gas convenience network. Hard to find locations that don't accept, but there are some out there. You know, I was kind of racking my brain. I don't remember if Costco accepts that card. But I know Murphy does, though. That's all the Walmart fueling, right? And I believe Sam's does. So, you know, there will be some examples out there that don't fit that model, but for the most part,
They had their discounted.
What's that?
Doesn't Costco already have their own discount because you're a member?
Yeah, I mean, I get great fuel at Costco, and I put it on my Costco card. Well, I get great discounts there. Now, Murphy's, I think they offer discounted pricing on our card. So
I don't know who Murphy's is. You said Walmart?
Yeah, Murphy's is the supplier for all the Walmart gas stations.
Okay. And where are you located, Dean?
I'm in Nashville.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Come on down. Music City, USA.
We got a big game there in the fall.
Steelers are coming down, or Eagles?
There you go.
Yeah, okay. I forgot which side of the state I was on there for a second. Well, good. I used to have season tickets that I finally let go because I had a couple of young men that were playing soccer at a high level. So I never could make a Sunday game. I was always giving my tickets away.
Wow, I hear you. Yeah, sounds about right.
The cost savings of the program, I think we've gone through that maybe ad nauseum, but you know, every penny represents significant money to a truck driver.
Oh yeah.
And the more pennies you can stack up and the lower you can get your net fuel costs, the better of a business person you are. Our communication with the level 3 reporting gives you fantastic business intelligence. And then finally, customer care. We have a 24/7, 365 customer care. Up until a couple of years ago, it was in the United States. It was in Portland, Maine, and Salt Lake City, Utah, or Ogden, Utah. It is now in the Philippines.
Oh.
And I was not real happy with that at first, but after about 3 months and a lot of tears and hair pulling, they're doing a great job. And I would say it's probably better than it was because after COVID, we couldn't keep good customer support people in.
No, that's actually true. That's true. Because I work in a call center,
Yeah.
And then we have, customer service, and then our call centers though are in the US though. And
Yeah. It
Yeah.
became very challenging for us to keep them staffed properly without just high turnover, and frankly, it didn't really pay well enough that a lot of people were interested in the job. So outsourcing to the Philippines became a great mechanism, and they're doing a fantastic job. And we still have an escalation path. If you ask them for a supervisor, they're likely going to put somebody on that's in the U.S. to take that call. So that is our 5 C's. And then the other thing I would tell you is that we do everything inside of eManager and what we call policies, right? So you will set a policy for a fleet, you'll set a policy for a division or a truck or a driver. So you can set these policies. And what is a policy? It's these things right here that you see on this slide. They're little buckets of information. It's going to be fuel and fuel related, cash and cash related, additives, maintenance, miscellaneous, gas and convenience, right? So when you think about those things, you have all these different mixtures that you can do. To give you an example, say I've got 5 drivers, 4 of them are veterans and one's a brand new rookie. And I want to keep my eye on him a little tighter until I see that he's managing my money appropriately, right? So I may give him stricter limits. I may want to set up limits by the type of equipment. If I've got box trucks and I've got big rigs, well, box trucks don't need a 250 gallon a day limit, but my big rigs do. So I may want to do them separately. The other thing is I can separate them in my system as well. So box trucks and big rigs, I can have them under 2 different subgroup IDs. So I know these are my box trucks, these are my big rigs, just at a glance. I could also do that with terminals. If I have 5 terminals, and this is Charleston, and this is Philly, and this is Nashville, and this is Detroit, and this is Orlando, I can now designate those subgroup IDs so I can identify my purchasing by terminal. And there's a lot of different things that you can do around that as well, okay? Just that's the nature of this. And you'll find the sizing of the company makes a lot of difference as to how many of these things your customers would potentially want to implement. But strong integration and strong tools as to how I can operate my business inside of our user interface, huge advantage for them. They can't do any of this stuff with their corporate cards or so many other instruments that are out there. This is the first and last time you'll ever see this slide. But it's really kind of a methodology, and the reason I keep it in this deck. There are 2 different card setups. There's either a limit-based card, simply it has a limit on it, right? Or a balance-based card that works like your checking account. So a balance-based card is prepaid when you think about it.
Right.
On any limit-based card, any card that has a credit line, we can do credit reporting on that customer to help them improve their commercial credit. We file every 30 days. So the reason having a credit line or a limit is so important is because I generate an invoice, and that invoice has to be paid on time, and therefore I can do credit reporting. With a balance-based card, again, it's like a checking account. If I put $5,000 in, I don't have to do another thing until I need to put another $5,000 in, right? It's eventually going to get down to 0, and I won't be able to purchase fuel until I put more money in. So I can't do any credit reporting on that. But I have an alternative for that same guy who couldn't get any commercial credit benefit from working with me. He could give me a cash deposit or a bank letter of credit instead, and I would give him a credit line against that, and now I can invoice him and I can do credit reporting for him.
Gotcha.
Okay. The other type of prepaid account would be if they're using a factoring company.
What company?
A factoring company like us, right? So say you get a deal and you close the factoring on it and you close your fuel card on it. Well, now our factoring company will fund their prepaid account, which will keep their fuel account funded, and they can use those funds down to 0 or whatever before we fund the next set of receivables to their account. Okay. Can't help them with credit, but they can turn their cash around quickly because the receivables, we're going to fund them typically the same day on an invoice that we may not get paid for 30 or 45 days on. Right. So it's a huge benefit to them from a cash flow standpoint. Most of these guys are cash poor. Okay.
Okay.
So that's your differences between limit-based and balance-based. And again, you'll never hear the term again, but it's an old term and I think it still makes sense.
USDD rebate.
Yes. So this is talking about how your rebate program works for the drivers. It's now over 5,000 independents and small chains, so I need to update that. The discount network works anywhere or can work anywhere that has one of our merchant IDs. We already have a discount network put together of 5,000 locations all across the country. These are all very specifically truck stop, high-speed fuel discounts from a penny to over $1. And they get that on day one. If they sign up for your program, they get those discounts. You also have 7,600 forecourt discounts that'll be available on your Crossroads freight card in August. That's very small compared to 200,000 plus gas and convenience stations when you look at 5,000 discounts at 12,000 stations, right? So that will grow. It's a very new piece for us. Even though the card's been around for about 4 years, we've not had discounts to where they could fire yet until a little earlier this year. They were firing, and then we found some problems, so we shut it down just to fix the bugs. It's supposed to be back up in August. The next phase of that is that you would be able to potentially negotiate your own forecourt discounts and add them to your program. Okay, just like you can on the rear court. On the rear court, you can work directly with a merchant to get your own discounts in place. And the advantage to you guys negotiating directly with fuel merchants is that you can participate in the discounts, right? So there's a revenue opportunity there for you. For example, let's say you work with a provider like Ambest. Ambest has 400 locations all across the country. It's a very well thought out network. And they say, hey guys, we'll give you cost plus 10. And Ambest agrees to that with you. And you guys call me and you say, hey, Dean, we got a cost plus 10 from Ambest. We want to reprice this to our customers. We want our largest customers to get it at cost plus 12. So we'll get a 2-cent margin. We want our medium customers to get it at cost plus 15. And we want our one truckers to get it at cost plus 20. So we get a 10-cent margin on our one truckers, 5-cent margin on our medium-sized guys, and 2 cents on our really big guys, right? I manage that process. So I manage the correct price to fire for the end user, manage the correct settlement price to the merchant, and then I manage the rebate back to you guys every month. So I charge for that. I charge 30% of whatever you keep. You keep 0, I charge 0. You keep 10 cents, I'll charge you 3 cents, and I'll send you 7 cents at the end of the month, okay? The advantage of me doing this is that prior to us building this, it never existed. So you couldn't even have a discount in place with a lot of these merchants out there. They didn't want to do it, right? They didn't want to set up direct bills. They didn't want to have the open books. They didn't want to manage rebates all over the country. So we built it and we manage all that. Some merchants, especially the larger ones, already do this themselves though. So if you get a discount, for example, with Pilot Flying J, Loves, TA Petro, Quick Trip, with not Quick Trip, I'm sorry, Quick Fuel, which is unmanned sites. They manage that themselves. I don't interface or intervene with that. They set the price each day. That's what your customer gets through my card, etc. So you keep all the margin on any deals that you work with them, right? The other thing I would say about working with merchants is that if you think about it from the merchant's perspective, excuse me. they say, okay, this owner operator is coming by and he buys fuel. Maybe he buys it with a credit card. I'm going to collect 6 cents a gallon on him just for using his credit card. And I'm going to get full retail value of my margin. So I just made 70 cents a gallon on him, right? When an aggregator, which is what you guys are considered to the fuel merchants, comes into the picture, now the merchant's looking at, okay, do I want to split my margin or give margin to an aggregator? So you will find different merchants have different theories, and different merchants will allow you to keep different amounts. So you may work with a Pilot Flying J and they say, we'll send you a rebate at the end of the month for 2 cents on all your Pilot Flying J gallons. And you might work with a 7 Fleet and they say, we'll give you cost plus 10, but we don't want you to keep more than 5 cents a gallon. Or you'll work with Maverick and they'll say, we'll give you cost plus 10, sell it at a reasonable discount to the end user, and you keep the difference, right? So you're going to have it all over the board. Different people making different decisions, right? So just understand that. And also, I've told Rennie this, but I'll introduce you to any merchants that you want to do business with. And we'll consider, what your customer network looks like, where your volumes are, where do we think we can get a deal? It may make sense to get a deal with a mom and pop that's not giving any discount, but they fall right where a lot of your fueling lanes are. So we can do it with an individual mom and pop as well as a small chain or a large chain. Okay. There are a couple of caveats to discounts. One, Pilot Flying J, they've programmed their forecourt to run over their rear court POS. So at a Pilot Flying J, if you run your card, they're likely going to have a transaction fee in the forecourt, which they won't anywhere else that I'm aware of. Okay. That can be good, especially if you have a discount there, because that can also allow them to give you a forecourt discount. All right. Casey's General Stores. They do not have truck stop POS at their high-speed diesel sites, so you always have to go in store. Well, when you go in store, you're going to have a card that's going to have a WEX logo and an EFS logo on it. And if the driver does not tell them which logo they need to run that transaction on, it's the difference between getting a discount there and not getting a discount there. Okay. So if I buy high-speed diesel fuel and I go to Casey's General Stores, I want to tell them, hey, run this on the EFS rail. Run this on the EFS card, right? In that same store, if I buy gasoline, I can't tell them to run it on the EFS rail. It's got to run on the WEX rail. But in that same store, guess what? The card works in the forecourt, so I can put it in there for my gasoline. I just can't put it in there for my high-speed diesel. But that won't stop the clerk inside from trying to run it as a WEX card instead of an EFS card. So it's a really important communication piece if you end up doing anything with Casey's. And actually, I like working with Casey's, and Casey's is working to upgrade their POS. But right now, that's still a challenge for them. But they do good at discounting with my partners. They want to be in that space. They want to work with aggregators. So I never rule them out as a potential partner for you guys. All right. I think that's most of my caveats around that. Let's see. How are we doing on time? It's 3:03. I think we were originally slated to stop at 3:30. Yeah. Okay, good. I think we're running right on time then. So here's that one pager I was telling you about that talks about things from a competitive standpoint. And really, this is just to help you understand what your competition is and what they do, right? From the standpoint of competition, your biggest competitor will be EFS or another EFS partner. We own about 70% of the business that is using a fleet card. Now, there's still a lot of business out there that's not, so that's a big opportunity, right?
Right.
Our number one competitor, in fact, our number one competitor is Comdata, but they still have such a small percent of the business. All the rest of the competitors combined have less than 10% of the business.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. Let me write that down.
Yeah, so let's.
Do we have 90% of the business?
No, we don't have 90 because Comdata's got a good percentage, but we have about 70.
What is it? Combat?
Comdata. Right there.
Comdata. They're right there, number 2 on the slide.
Are we going to get any of this stuff?
You'll
Yeah.
get all of it.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like
Because this page right here, if we have an account that wants to get set up with us and this, somebody from Coastal keeps bothering these people. And I understand that Coastal is a fly-by-night company. Do you have any, bullet points against Coastal?
Not specifically, but if I remember correctly, Coastal is on like a Visa card.
Oh, okay.
So from everything you've learned today, what does that tell you?
The merchant fees,
There's
They
gonna be
they don't get any point of sale discounts.
getting point sales, yeah.
Now they'll advertise that they have discounts, but they're not point of sale discounts. Typically what they are is they're some fraction of the basis points that they're making.
Okay.
Okay. I also don't believe Coastal is level 3, right? If their underlying product is a MasterCard or a Visa, they don't have level 3 technology.
Gotcha. So then we would have the level 3 technology compared against that.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
Let's see how well they can integrate their reporting into my TMS, right?
Mhm.
Can they even work with my transportation management system?
Well, it's a mixed fleet. It's a four-quart fleet. So,
Yeah, well, and that's one reason why somebody might actually consider them, right? Because they know that they can fuel in the forecourt.
yeah,
You can do the same for them,
right.
and at a discount off of cash.
Yeah, off the
Okay.
cash. So this is a nice,
Yeah,
sheet here.
we need that, yeah.
We're gonna send the sheet to one of our friends today.
Okay. So you'll notice all the red dots. Those are the things that I think that we're really strong at, and sometimes our competition is not as strong at. You'll notice, for example, on Comdata, in customer service, they're good with their mid to large market, but
Right.
they're horrible for their small fleet and owner operators.
Gotcha.
Customer service at Fuelman, which actually Comdata and Fuelman are now the same company, and it's been rebranded as Corpay.
Mhm.
Fuelman, however, is the equivalent of our WEX. Comdata is the equivalent of our EFS.
Mhm.
So Fuelman, they've made their business in the gas and convenience space just like WEX has, while Comdata has made their business in the over-the-road trucking space just like we have. It's ironic that WEX bought EFS and that Fuelman bought Comdata.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of practices that Fuelman does that are very negative to their company. They have a different pricing methodology that we cannot meet. We don't have the same type of contracts with our customers. Our merchant contracts are very standard. A customer makes a transaction, we'll charge X for interchange. Fuelman has negotiated pricing deals, something that we don't and won't be doing. So they literally can control the price when you go to a Fuelman site, because that site has given them the ability to reprice. So I used to win a lot of Fuelman business just by asking for their monthly invoice. Preferably something in Excel that I could really drill down into. But what you will find is that because of their ability to reprice, oftentimes they would reprice it higher than retail, and you wouldn't know it because you couldn't see the price. So that's a pricing practice that's gotten them in a lot of trouble over the years. And they tried to do some of that when they bought Comdata. They really hurt Comdata's reputation. Comdata is trying to fight back, but it's all Corpay now, and it's all Corpay people now for the most part. So it is what it is. I told you that we own about 70% of the space. There is a whole piece of the space that still runs on MasterCard and Visa. That is a huge opportunity. Now, you're not going to see that with a major fleet. If you find a major fleet using a credit card, they know nothing about what they're doing from a fueling standpoint. Great opportunity. I will say I did sell one that was on a Voyager card, which it's a credit card that designs itself to look like a fleet card. They were on a postal contract. It was 800 trucks, and I saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars by moving over to our platform.
Mhm.
you won't find anything that runs on a MasterCard or a Visa platform that will be able to compete with what you do. And the reason people use those is just because they don't know the why. They don't know the story. You know, when I hold up this person's card, right, this looks like any other MasterCard to them. When I hold up your card, and this one's not yours, but this one's got the bugs down here, the WEX and the EFS bugs, they still think this is a credit card.
Yep.
Because it looks like the same instrument in your hand, but the technology behind it is completely different.
That's a
Yeah.
fuel card.
That's right. That's right. So understand that MasterCard and Visa, when you run into them, the biggest excuse you're going to get from most people is that, well, I like getting my points.
Right. Just like American Express.
And what I tell them is this: well, I'm glad you like getting your points, and you probably should use that card for every single thing you do except for fueling, because you're cutting your own throat. You're costing yourself 7 cents a gallon. You're costing yourself the ability to get less than cash pricing. Think about it. What if I'm max making 1.5% off of that purchase? How many cents per gallon is that? I don't know off the top of my head, but it's not enough, right?
Right.
It probably doesn't cover the upcharge that you're paying.
Yep.
So that's the typical excuse they'll give me, and that's my response. I'm like, listen, you don't have level 3 reporting. You don't have the ability to get cash price or less. You're paying extra because it's a credit card. Most truck stops charge credit price if you go to the rear court.
You're paying 3% extra.
So think about those things anytime you come up with a credit card. And again, no integration. You know, there's just so little that you can do in that environment that you can do in ours. Not to mention, hey, guess what? What if you didn't have to maintain your receipts of all your purchases? Wouldn't that have some value? Plus, our reporting will give them their quarterly fuel tax information, and we can even do the fuel tax reporting for them, right? And you guys can participate for referring that business. So that's how I think about credit cards. And I don't care what the credit card holder is, what kind of credit card it is. ComData and Fuelman. Fuelman really won't be much of a competitor to you unless you're calling on somebody who's lighter duty. And then a lot of times they think they've got a great deal unless you can get them to provide their fuel report, because they're like, oh, I get a cost plus X deal there. Well, guess what? You don't know what X is. So you really don't know what you're getting. So that's Fuelman. That'll end up, you'll run into that in the lighter duty space. ComData is almost going to be exclusively heavy trucking. They do have a credit card product like we do. And they don't have the discount network we have. So even if you go with them, let's look at a couple of things there. So they have acceptance at about 9,000 sites. Their monthly card fee, like EFS's, is $99 versus your $795. Now, they have just come out with a program for, I think it's 10 trucks and less, that is no monthly fee. And they have transaction fees from $0 to $3. And that depends on if you're fueling in network or out of network. Okay, so limited discounts. In network, you may not be getting your best fuel price. Out of network, you're going to pay $3 a transaction. Okay, so I don't find them terribly difficult to deal against. They're way more competitive in that larger fleet arena than they are in the small fleet guys. And to me, small fleet, for your understanding, anybody who's got about 20 trucks and less, you guys should be able to smack that business all the time. If maybe unless they're with one of my other partners, right? Because they're going to be attempting the same strategies you are. What I like about what you guys have is this other wholesale fueling piece that you can add to the equation, this fuel consultant piece that you can add. A lot of these guys, they're not in that business at all. So their approach is completely different.
Correct. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
Yeah.
RTS, for example, they use the fuel card as a way to get factoring business. And
Yeah.
they'll say, hey, if you're using our fuel card, we'll give you a better deal on our factoring.
Yep.
Right. So you're going to find a lot of different strategies. We've got software companies that do this. We have associations like NASDAQ and OOIDA that do this.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of different people coming at it from a lot of different angles. But I do like the fact that you have a good, thorough understanding of their fueling, and that's what you're really talking to them about anyway.
Mhm.
Okay. So I told you your largest competitors, or the things you'll run into most, will be probably some of our largest partners. RTS is by themselves, which is a partner of ours, sells our fuel card, right? They're larger than most of my competition.
Mhm. No, I know. They do the factoring.
They do factoring, and they have over 300 people that do nothing but sell fuel cards.
Mhm. No, I get it.
Okay. So your positioning is going to be around fuel consulting and helping your customers to lower their net cost of fuel.
Yep.
And by the way, if you use us for factoring, guess what? You can position against them in factoring too, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Did they say if we hit some super duper numbers, it would increase that percentage or no?
they haven't stated that, Rennie, but listen, I'll go back to the drawing board for anybody if they're hitting big numbers.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
They have to define what big numbers are to them. Like whoever their number one guy is, I'm sure is leaning on them for some extra.
They could be. They could be. That decision is out of my hands, Rennie, but that doesn't mean that I can't talk to them about it.
No, I get it.
So let's look at a couple of other things. You do have a $1.75 transaction fee. This new product from Comdata for small fleets, 0 transaction fee or $3. And like I said, their discounts in their in-network are not great. So I think you have a more than adequate win rate against them. The difficult ones will be our partners. When you get an RTS, you're going to have to think about, how do I win that piece of RTS business? I know you're going to try to swim a little bit upstream as far as the size of the customers, and that I think will be advantageous to you, especially against players like RTS. We only have a handful of partners that do kind of swim upstream, that kind of go after some larger deals.
Well, these guys are going to give them discounts, but they're not going to give them any part of the rebate, do they?
No. So when they work with a carrier, their pony is hitched up with Pilot Flying J, right?
Mhm.
So that's really all they care about or talk about. Now they've got a network of some pretty good discounts throughout some minor chains and independents. But the overarching key there is Pilot wants them to have Pilot discounts and sell Pilot discounts, and they want Pilot to be the marquee player in their environment. And basically, although I've never seen it, I've never really heard it, but in my mind, as long as I've known them and what they've done with Pilot, I feel like they have a favored nations clause, right? They got like the best deal. So from that perspective, you're not going to compete very likely with Pilot unless you're dealing with a larger fleet, because Pilot doesn't want to give big discounts to small carriers.
Gotcha.
And Pilot they'll go backward for large carriers, right? Cost minus. I've heard as much as cost minus 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to win a large carrier from a Pilot deal can be difficult. In fact, Rennie, you and I have one we've been working on, right? And we've seen the nature of the Pilot deal, and we think, okay, let's win the business, but let's just keep them with Pilot for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we still, as of today, don't know what their Pilot deal is. So all that being said, you'll find it with all of the majors. They'll have their sweetheart deals. Some you'll have a chance to win, some you won't. But I think the consulting aspect of what you do is going to be your differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, I was in a meeting today. 3,600 units.
Just tell me they're with Comdata.
They're not. They sold, and now his non-compete ran up, and now he's going to get them all back. and once a don't fleet card.
All right. Well, good. That's probably about all I can really think of here.
Okay.
This is a great little thing, though, if you want to just like put it on your wall when you're having a discussion with somebody of things to think about, talking points. The other thing I would say is that when I talk to carriers and even owner operators, right, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is not what is your transaction fee. The first thing that comes out of their mouth is what is your discount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can play that game and I can say, hey, I've got fantastic discounts. I've got some discounts over $1. What are you getting? Right.
Mhm.
But I prefer to kind of reset the conversation and say, well, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you got 60 cents off, let's just say Pilot Flying J, and it was still 10 cents a gallon higher than what you could get across the street, where should you buy your fuel? And if they can't answer that question honestly, you may have a challenge there, right? But that is a great opportunity to say, well, listen.
Well, why don't you do it more economic? I would just break it down as an economic function. If you have so these big tankers, they hold 500 gallons, right? So
300 gallons typically.
300 gallons. Okay, so it's 300 gallons times $5. Okay, is $1,500.
Yeah.
And if you're saving them, let's say a third of that, or let's say no, you wouldn't be that high. It would be like 16% of that of $5 would be 90 cents. It would be a lot of money. Are you really worried about $1.75?
Well,
Right.
usually that's not their worry. Usually, they always kind of equate things back to what's your discount? What's your discount? That's what they're always going to press you on. What's your discount?
Yeah, but I'm saying $1.75 is like it's like a beer nut. It's nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what the price is no matter what, because I deal with it in my own industry as I am.
Yeah.
You got to go through the 10 maxims. You know what the 10 maxims is?
No.
Right, Dean? You know,
I've heard it. I don't remember what they are, but yes, I've heard the 10 maxims.
I'm going to have to tell everyone what the 10 maxims are, because that's
Mhm.
how you want to go into a sale instead of putting a price up front. Never do. Always, like you said, everyone wants price no matter what kind of a thing that they're getting into, because they want to hear what they want to hear. And then they'll hang up on you because you're giving it to them right away, which you don't want to do. In
Right.
order, if you want to establish a relationship with somebody, figure out what it is, like you said, like, let me see your monthly invoice. I'll see what I can do, and I will get you that price. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason that I do that exact thing, right? I want to readjust their mindset.
Right.
I can't consult with them if they say I get 40 cents a gallon and I say, well, I only get 30. Or I could come back and say, well, I get 50 cents a gallon. Nanny, nanny, poo poo.
Well, no, our discounts range from
Yeah.
8 cents to $1.20. I mean,
Yeah, I just use superlatives, Rennie. Hey, we have fantastic discounts. We have great discounts. We have awesome discounts. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. What are your discounts?
I'm already dealing with something like that.
What does net cost of fuel mean to you? Yeah. All right. Let me get off of this one and move on to the next one. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. Okay, so we talked about some of these additional value-added products, permitting, Gold Tire program. We do have a telematics division. It's 3 different providers, so we don't own our own telematics. But if you have any telematics or ELD types of questions or customer opportunities, let us know. If you want to align with a telematics provider, I know plenty of them out there. If you already have your own telematics, tell me about it. Fuel tax reporting, $20 per truck per month. I send you $5 per truck per month. It's necessary for anybody who's traveling interstate. So those are some of our cool products. We also have picked up a relationship with TFS, Travelers Financial Services, and we can now do equipment financing, and you guys can share in that.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Okay.
Very interesting.
How about we have equipment. I'd like, can you send us the rep?
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Send me and VJ the rep. Or send it to me and I'll get a, is it Wex Bank?
No, it's TFS is the provider. I think they're a Canadian based company, but we have a program with them. And so what we'd want to do is we'd want to get you to be basically a reseller, right? And then any equipment that you do, you'd get your spiff back on that, whether it was you buying your own equipment or buying somebody else's equipment. But let me get that lined up for you, Rennie.
Okay.
All right. And then the value prop is, hey, always cash price or less, right? We're here to help customers reduce their cost of fueling and improve the way they do business. Cash flow improvement. Well, you're like, well, what do you mean? You're making me pay twice a week. Well, here's why I call it cash flow improvement. Because if you're using a credit card and you get a bill once a month and you don't have to pay that bill for 3 weeks, by the time you actually do pay that bill and your engine is blown and you can't make any more money, you're going to owe $10,000. If I collect it twice a week, what are you going to owe? Maybe $1,500. So it just changes the dynamic of how they operate and how they consider things. You won't believe how many guys they go in the hospital or their tractor breaks down or whatever excuse happens, they can no longer pay their bill. It's a lot easier to get out from under $1,000 or $1,500 than it is $10,000 or $15,000, right? So that's why I say cash flow improvement. Strongest credit underwriting in the industry. We underwrite about 50% of the applicants that apply. A good percentage of those that don't get credit to begin with, they'll open a prepay or a cash secured account. Merchant negotiated discounts. You're familiar with that. You have the ability to do even greater discounts by your own direct merchant negotiations. The enhanced business intelligence of our level 3 reporting gives them all kinds of metric information about their fleet and their purchasing habits. They could do driver scorecarding. They could do all kinds of things. The proprietary level 3 network for processing. Who do you point to when something's not working? Everybody calls us. And then our customer care has been recognized for 5 years straight. I believe we were top 10 in the country for our size. Now we've outsourced that, right? And we haven't gone back through that practice, but I can tell you, I feel way more comfortable with our little Philippines customer support than I did for years with what we looked like after COVID.
Gotcha.
And then just the ability to consolidate vehicle related expenses, right? This card, even though it's a fuel card or fleet card, you can allow it to purchase anything inside that store or that truck stop. That would include service, right? So if you're at like a TA and they have their service garages, guess what? You can use your card to pay for that service. And in all those instances, guess what? There's a little bit of money in it for you guys. What else can I tell you? On the contract documentation, the keys, and always think about this. When you talk to somebody about this, there's a couple of things that I find to be challenging, probably never should be, but it can be. One, when it asks for the company legal name, it means the company legal name as it appears on their articles of incorporation. And the same with their business address. If they've moved and they put their new address on the application,
Yeah.
it's not going to match their articles of incorporation if they haven't updated it. And therefore it's going to fail, and they're going to have to provide additional information to prove the move, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is their checking account. You will find guys who set up their checking account, but they may have put their Social Security on it and not their business identification number.
Okay.
And that'll fail every time.
Yeah.
So we'll come back to you and say, hey, we need a copy of a void check on this one. It did not pass our GUI Act check, right? So that's an issue. And I think if they know that up front, it's something they can prepare for, then it's not as hard to get those documents or those updates back out of them. And then the last thing, this is more of a a process thing that you need to know, because it bites, especially your early customers, it bites them in the butt far too often. When they get approved for an account,
Mm-hmm.
a couple of things happen. One, a carrier ID gets created. And when that carrier ID gets created, their billing cycle starts.
Right.
Well, before they ever get their cards, there's a good chance they're going to get a charge for $75 for that application fee. And it's going to hit their checking account. And if they haven't funded it, it's going to bounce. So I always try to be really clear with everybody. Hey, there's a $75 application fee if you're approved. So just make sure you've got that money in your checking account, because they will reach out and grab that via ACH, because you're approving it when you sign up for this application, and you want to make sure that's funded, because you don't want to have an NSF, which costs them a lot more money, right?
Right. I have a quick question for you, going back to the checking account, just because you're going to be putting it all into the Salesforce.
Mhm.
All right. So when I use,
Dean, I got a hard stop at 4:30.
All right, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
when I
See you,
use,
man. I'll talk to you later.
I'll know if someone gives me something incorrect right away, like
Yeah.
routing or even credit card. Does that do that right away too with you on your Salesforce, what you're using?
Yeah. So what happens is if everything's correct,
Yeah.
it goes all the way through the system and cards get shipped, and it doesn't stop.
Okay.
If anything stops it, then it goes to underwriting. They're going to take a look at it, and they're going to say, here's what we need. Right. So they'll research it at that point and determine, so we see that the BOE passed. We see that LexisNexis passed. GUIAX failed. Okay. So we're going to need a copy of a void check or a letter from their bank. A lot of times a letter from the bank is, fewer and fewer people are actually getting checks. Right.
Well,
So
I was just curious, because I remember you saying that before, but there is a way, right? I mean, I'm just saying this for my own, I'm on Salesforce right now. There is a way you can get away with that, because they should be telling you that it's incorrect once you try to process the application. Do you see what I mean? I have that.
yeah, if
Just to kind of give you but that's something else. Don't worry about it. But
well, there's a couple of things that will happen. For one, you guys aren't going to be on our BOCA. You're going to be on our new DCA, which is our newest iteration of our electronic application.
okay.
DCA stands for Digital Credit App.
Okay.
And it will have some functionality to where the customer can upload their own documents.
That's good.
Yeah. So the ultimate goal is to try and take the partner out of the middle of it.
Yeah.
But there may be times when you have to get involved. For example, we may have sent to, hey, please upload your check to make this happen, and they don't do it. Maybe they're skeptical of the link or whatever, right? So the task would reach out and just let you know, hey, here's what we need.
Mm-hmm.
You might prompt the customer to go ahead and complete that, right? Some of the things are fairly sensitive pieces of information sometimes. So that's the other reason we're trying to get the DCA to handle all that. We don't want you to have to deal with their Social Security number, right? We don't want you to have their checking account information per se. We're trying to be as protective of their privacy and that stuff as we can. When they do the app, you don't see any of that stuff. But if they have to now go back and give you a copy of their Social Security card or their driver's license, well, guess what? All of a sudden some of these things start to come to light.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the main things. We talked about the mobile apps. We talked about the application process. And we haven't talked about web to lead. That really, most of my partners do that on their own these days. We used to do it for them. I assume based on your business, you probably do have your own web to lead process. If somebody says, hey, I'm interested in something, and they go to your website.
I have no idea, but I'm
Okay.
sure.
If you don't have like a for more information button or something on your website, then you might think about that. It's a good way to.
A great way.
Yeah, it's a good way to address somebody who may in their own head be inquiring or checking in and have the ability to then send the application out to them and try and get them signed up. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Have you got any other questions?
I do actually.
Okay.
This is so I have a friend of mine who owns, I guess they've been 2-3 months in a sewer business, spends $250 in gas a week.
Okay.
All right, so they have, of course, what do you got? What's your numbers? What do you have? Can you do for me? I'm like, well, how much do you spend a week? He's like 250. I'm like, okay. Yeah. But as Ronnie said, this would be a hot dog stand, but like, something you start with. You know what I mean?
That's right. Better to start with that than, Rennie's 3,600 unit fleet.
But I guess the one guy, here we go, is, all right, here we go. Maybe 250 a week.
Okay.
How do you approach something like that compared to he sent me? Because I'm like, I don't even know yet because I haven't really. Okay, here we go. So have you heard? Okay, Bro Trestless Services, Southwestern PA.
No.
Okay, it's Wex. Tony Clemens, sales manager, Wex Fleet Sales.
So he's using a WEX card, not an EFS card, and he's getting billed likely every 2 weeks. And he is likely not getting any fuel discounts. And he's probably paying $2 per card per month.
So actually 6 to 7 cards, $4. Can I show you something?
Sure.
Actually, Protection, I think that's the name of this company. Can you see this? Where are you?
I may need to stick it up on my bigger screen. Hang on one second. Let's see. $4 per card per month, right? And then monthly net 15 terms.
Yeah.
Okay, that is one of our terms. I thought we were getting away from that. Do you know how long he's had the account?
He hasn't even started yet. This is something that whoever this Tony person has sent to them.
Yeah. So what I would tell somebody like that, and I'm assuming he only needs gas stations and convenience.
Yeah, he's like, well, what's your gas stations? Like, I'm like, we have a map. Like, you know what I mean? It's
right.
exactly what we were talking about in the sale of the person. This person is ADHD, like calls me like wants to get like set up fuel cards. And I'm like, well, how much do you spend per week?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
so he likes Wawa today, right?
Everybody likes Wawa. They think Wawa is going to be like, because it's everywhere.
It is. I deal with Wawa every single week.
This area, yeah, Wawa, there's Snow. I mean, there's all different.
Jesus.
So
you didn't know me. I'm Fred Mann, and I do law and finance here. I came from Lehman Brothers in investment banking. I was a partner in a large firm in Philadelphia. And
okay.
But I occasionally get some opportunities for sales. That's why I'm sitting here. I know nothing about the whole universe that you've discussed with this lady. She has 20,000 times more than I do. But I was looking forward to the major competitive advantages when I'm out there. If you don't want our service, we can give you a wet pumping, wet fueling, and otherwise, well, then how about a card?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, never mind. So I'm thinking otherwise about it.
Okay, so back to this for a second here.
Okay.
So to approach him, no setup fee, $40. So $4 per card. We're not going to charge $4 per card, right?
No, you're going to charge $7.95 a month, and not $4 per card. And at Wawa's, effective beginning August, you should be getting a discount.
August 1st.
Yeah. Well, I still am not positive it's August 1st. They told me August. They didn't give me a date, so I need to validate. But yeah, effective August on this card, he should be able to use it in the forecourt at any Wawa. He can use it in the rear court at any Wawa. There's only 3 that have a rear court, and get discounts, right? So I don't know if on the WEX card he's getting discounts. Now he will move to a different set of terms, right?
This is nothing. He's not signed up at all.
Yeah.
He's
So
not,
with us, his terms would be more often. Even if we got him at once a week terms, that would be obviously quite different than monthly net 15. If the terms are really important to him, there's probably not a whole lot I can do. But if the terms are unimportant to him, if he can handle payment once a week or twice a week, then he's going to have a big pricing advantage. And he'll be able to control his drivers, set limits, do all the things. Those things you can do on the WEX card too.
a level 1. He's not gonna be no. It's
Well,
like-
Wex is level 3. He'll get level 3 on Wex. I don't know how important level 3 is going to be for him if he's doing all his fueling in the forecourt. He may not be required to do fuel tax reporting.
I gotcha.
Okay. But there are components of that level 3 that could be intriguing. Like maybe he wants to capture some sort of additional information. Well, if he's in the forecourt at regular PS, remember how many prompts do they get? 2.
2 prompts.
Driver ID, odometer reading. That's it. So, and I don't think that's any different at Wawa, although Wawa is moving toward GK as their processor, and GK in the rear court can process more than that. So potentially in the forecourt at Wawa's, they'll have that same opportunity. But all that being said, I think there's huge pricing advantage for him. Just listen, if you could get 8 cents a gallon off at Wawa and not pay a transaction fee, but pay a monthly account management fee of $7.95. I mean, that alone's really better than his Wex deal. Now, unless Wex is telling him he's going to get discounts on that, which I don't know that they're offering any discounts.
So he said, and then it said 6 to 7 cards. Everyone just hears, he's like, this one guy that I deal with, he's a number guy. I said, bring him in front of me. I'm not afraid. I'm in sales. So there's a reason why I do well. But I do need to learn this a little bit more. So that's why I need to have everything in front of me. But I wanted to see how to handle. I mean, this is a tiny little thing, but this is something we can start with.
That's a great one to learn on. I think you got a competitive advantage to talk to him about.
Yeah. So when I talk to him, what would you recommend how I approach it?
First of all, I would say, how tied are you to those terms, right? Because I can get rid of your $4 card fees. I'm going to replace them with a single $7.95 monthly account management fee. And in the forecourt, he's not going to have any transaction fees.
Okay.
And he's just going to get discounts off of the pump price, especially at Wawa's.
Now, can I download that app and take a look at it, or do I need to have like a certain ID to kind of get an idea?
You can
do
a test app.
I can do a test app.
You can do a test app. To do a test app, in the company name, just put test and today's date. For all the other information, the only legitimate information you want to put in there is your name and your email address, maybe your phone number. Don't put any other legitimate information in there.
Yeah.
For the banking accounts, there's a social security number. You're going to have to put in a 9-digit number. You're going to have to put in a 9-digit banking account number, and you're going to have to put in, I forget how many digits the routing number is. And I know how I did it the first time. I used my own real routing number length, and I just put in a bunch of zeros, and then I put in a bunch of ones. So that got me through it, right? But that is a way for you to test an app. Just make sure you put test and today's date in the company name.
I gotcha.
Okay. The reason I don't want you to put other identifying information is because it'll attempt to run a credit bureau for you as a commercial entity. It'll come back and say no. But if you put real information in there, guess what? It's going to look like a real hit on your credit.
Let me ask you this too. Like, do people ask where your company's located? Like, I already know about customer service. Like, if they're like, well, where are they based out of?
Yeah. So Wex is headquartered in Portland, Maine. And EFS, we kind of have an alternate headquarters here in Nashville.
Okay.
And then Wex Bank is in Utah.
Well, I've never been in Nashville, so I guess I need to get there.
Yeah, come on down. You could have come over the 4th of July and dealt with the other 500,000 crazies that were on Broadway.
You stay on the shore, and I was down the beach, so it's good. Yeah, it was so hot.
Yes, it was.
It was so hot.
I gotta go myself.
So, all right. So basically,
Right.
then so how does that get sent? All this information, so we can put like lines together.
Before she finished, I'm sorry for putting it. I thought again about my indiscretion.
Yeah.
We were investment bankers for Wawa and I was there with Dick Fisher. We were doing the basic modern plan to allow gas stations there.
Yeah.
They hadn't had them yet. It was about 20 years ago.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, they've even come into my territory. We have some in Tennessee now.
Yeah, oh no, they are going all over the place. It's crazy.
Yep.
Sorry to have interrupted. This
No,
lady,
you're
she's
fine,
gonna
you're
run the
fine.
show, and nice to see you. I
I
knew
guess
nothing
like,
about this.
basically the whole thing.
Thank you. Take care.
Inside, it's like, all right, so then who gets all this information? Does that go to Rennie or does it go to the, what's his name? VJ or
Which information are you talking about?
all this stuff you get over? Do you have a printout for like the
Yeah,
competitive?
I can add you. I can send it to everybody who was on this call.
Yeah, I don't have an email address, but except my own.
Oh, you've got like a Gmail address?
I do.
Okay, that's all right. Here, I'll send it to you now. Which,
And-
go ahead.
all right, let me get this for you, because I barely use it, but now that I am using it, because I also have I'm on 360 with my other job. I know it's Allison, Alison, and my last name's Carr, Carr. I believe it's 896@gmail.com. So hold on one sec here. Gmail, here I am. Yeah, Allison Carr, 896@gmail.com until I get set up on my, I guess, Diesel.
And you said Allison just has the one L, right?
Yeah, I'm one out. Alison.
I've got it because I see your picture in here.
Okay.
Let's see. This is the
Like the sales.
fuel card sales presentation.
And then what is the next step after this for onboarding?
So you guys are officially ready to sell. You can sell starting today. You could have actually sold prior to today, but
Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. So, I'm not getting like a lot of info. Which is why, like, once I get it, then I know how to approach it.
yeah.
Because I don't stupid over the phone.
Yeah, I think Rennie's trying to put together some additional sales tools, like a pitch book kind of thing.
We need a pitch.
Yeah. And, I've done this for 36 years now. And I've sold a lot of fuel cards in that time. And I can tell you that my best story, when I first started working for Comdata, I was dialing and smiling. And
that's what we call it, styling and smiles. Every customer you call.
I was working very hard. When I first started there, we shared a single phone between us.
Right.
So I would make a call, and while I'm on the phone, the other person is preparing to make their call as soon as I hang up. So it was quite the sweatshop in the early days. Anyway, we matured from that. We finally got off of index cards and onto computers and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I had been promoted to an account executive role, and had the opportunity to work on some larger fleets. And my counterpart, who was in a booth kind of catty corner to me, he'd make 20 calls a day. I'd make 60 calls a day. And my call time was like, I don't know, 8 minutes on average, right? His call time was like 20 minutes on average. And he was selling more than me. And I went to my boss one day and said, listen, I work really hard doing this and I make my numbers. That wasn't the issue. The issue was it doesn't appear like he's working as hard and he's making better numbers. So I said, can I sit with him? And my boss was like, if it's okay with him, I'm happy to let you sit with him. I sat with him for a day. And his approach was so different from mine. I had come out of the car sales business.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was features, benefits, right? Kicking the tires, showing them the product. And he was a bartender.
Bartenders, I bartended, and we make great sense. People, we talk.
Yep. And what he did is he asked a lot of questions.
That's what you do.
He wasn't spewing all the information out, right? I can do this when I do these presentations because I need to get that information to you, right? But when I'm selling to somebody, I'm trying to learn about them. I'm trying to learn about their business. I'm trying to learn how I can help them.
Right.
And ultimately, that is the way I have gone about my business ever since that point in time. And I don't care if it's a one trucker or if it's 1,000 trucker.
Mm-hmm.
The first question is, tell me about your business.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to know about you? What do I need to know about you that I don't understand?
What prompt you like into looking into this? Why do you need this? What is your goal? What are you looking to save? Like you want to monitor? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah. What do you haul? Where do you go? You
See?
know, I don't even know what products you haul.
Yeah, what kind of products? Like when you call me or if I call you, for instance, like for a medical alert run, I sell them. Okay.
Right.
Huge competition out there as well. I engage into a conversation because that person, say, Dean, if you were to call me and I would like, Dean, to tell me, how did you hear about us? Do you have a promo code? And tell me about your mom. Well, actually, before that, I'm lying. Like you'll be like, I'll ask you where you're from. And then
Mhm.
you say Tennessee, then I'll say, oh, are you a Titans fan? I
Mhm.
always go into, and you'll say, oh, absolutely. And then I'll tell you, I'm an Eagles fan. So I know we have a big game coming there in the fall.
Yeah, he did a lot of that too. He was an Ohio State grad, so
Or
he,
college or base, whatever the season is, or whatever you figure it out. Like I have people that will hang up on me and I call them right back and I say, I'm sorry, I think we got disconnected.
Mhm.
So I believe that's where you have the 10 maxims. That's what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's how you engage. Like if you're gonna like these business people, they probably have 5,000 other people calling them. So do you have a script or no?
I don't have a script. I let my partners do that. I'm happy to work with them on their script because a lot of times you're going to come from a different place than another partner. So to me, it's not a one size fits all. I think there's a lot of commonality in things, but you know, like I'm going to help Rennie with this pitch book, right? He's already asked me if he could use certain things, and we've kind of discussed some of that. So that I think would be the way for me to help you. Oh shoot, hang on.
Well, I can also probably help too. I have a script for my job, so I can do a similarity.
Yeah, well, and you know how you like to work too, you know, and I think sometimes if somebody handed me a script, the first thing I do is rewrite it for me.
Yeah. Well, I don't even, I'll just walk, like if I was selling those containers and I had to meet somebody, I'd be like, or if I had to talk to them, I'd be like, my name's out, you know.
Yeah.
And there's certain ways, but the thing is like, I just need to realize like what the numbers are. That's all, which that comes up to.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is a sale that can be very analytical, but I
Yeah.
think it also it's very consultative, right? Because you're wanting to uncover things that maybe they didn't think that was something they wanted to talk to you about. But is there a reason I should be talking to you about that? Can you help me with that? Right. And I think the more questions you ask, the more opportunities you have for that exact sort of thing. My call times went way up. My numbers of outbound calls went way down once I started doing it.
So how do you track your call time? Is that Salesforce?
Back in those days, Salesforce was not invented yet, and I don't have to track my call times anymore in what I do. I manage my own business here.
Well, I have on sale. Well, I'm on 5.9 in Salesforce. It's not Salesforce that actually tracks it. It's actually 5. I believe it's 5.9.
Okay.
It's like call time, number of calls, like how long I was on the call for. Yeah.
Yeah. Ours was back in the days. It was actually tracked in our phone system, which was not even voice over IP or anything yet. It was a hardwired phone system. You know.
Yeah. Interesting. Comes a long way. All right. So then basically what we need to do on this end is just get it together.
Yeah. And like I said, try work with some smaller customers where if things don't go as you plan, at least you haven't really nixed a big deal. I also, you know, this is still early for you guys, and Rennie's going to get cards so that you can kind of be your own beta tester. But it's early on. I mean, if you want to position something as, hey, I need a customer to test this for me and kind of work that angle, especially on a smaller fleet.
Yeah.
Somebody I want to have a lot of conversation with as they try this out. Tell me what you like, what you don't like, run it through its paces. And you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot from that carrier. And you know, it may be somebody you know, maybe it's somebody you don't know, but I think if you can get that commitment that, hey, yeah, I'd be willing to beta test this for you if it helps out, and if it helps me out too, that'd be all the better.
Then I was like, is $250 worth a fleet card?
Did you say it was $250 a month or a week?
A week.
Yeah. So if you think about it from a smaller, a lighter duty fleet size, most of the time these guys are probably running 15, maybe 20 gallons max of a tank. So at $20, if you round it out, I don't know what prices are in your area right now, but let's say they're $4. You know, that's $80. So $250 is what, 4 purchases?
Yeah, so that's like $80 you'd be saving, right? Or no?
Well, no, if it was 20 gallons, right, and you did that every week,
I would be making
80 gallon, that'd be 80 gallons a week is what that would be, right? So that's 320 gallons. And let's just say, for the sake of giggles, you save 10 cents a gallon. That's $32 in savings.
$32 can be a lot of money.
Over time. And if you add another vehicle, it's gonna exponentially change the amount.
So does it matter, like, many, does with the fleet card, so say 6 to 7, you want the more drivers to have this 7 cards, or do you want more of like the per truck where the usage is?
Well, there's different kinds of operations, right? And some are blow and go, right? They're 24 hours a day operations. Some are 1 shift or 2 shift. Some run Monday through Friday. Truckers, they run all the time.
Right.
And sometimes if they have team drivers, they really run all the time, because as soon as one driver's done, the other one takes over the wheel and keeps on going. So they can produce a lot of fuel purchase volume. But you know, the more vehicles they have, that in most circumstances means more volume and opportunity for you.
So when you have that scenario,
Mhm.
when they're saying, do they usually, like, the one driver will have his own card, then the other one, or do they just share it?
No, I recommend that they have separate cards, so
Yeah.
that they have their own card in their own wallet, and they're in charge of their own buying. They can still track how much they purchase for the vehicle.
Yeah.
But you will find operations that'll say, no, just use the same card. So it's really you know, how they feel about it.
Depending on what
Like I said, lighter duty tends to be very unit assigned heavy, and heavy duty trucking seems to be very driver assigned.
yeah.
It's probably 95-5 either direction, depending on if you're heavy duty or light duty.
Okay. What was your first sale?
My first sale, God, you're having me go way back.
Well, I like that because it's good to know from
How,
where you.
how about my most memorable sale? Because it wasn't, well, it probably was a card sale, but my most memorable sale is what got me the job.
Gotcha.
And when I was selling cars. So I had a gentleman on the lot. His name was Don Lancaster. He worked for Comdata. And I was showing him a gorgeous new Bonneville. And after I got done with that conversation, he said, Dean, I appreciate it, but I don't think I'm going to buy this car. And of course, the car salesman in me is like, Mr. Lancaster, what have I not done to show you the value of this car? He said, it's really not that. He said, really, it's personal preference. I just don't think this is what I want. He was an executive. He probably wanted a Beamer, right? So that being said, he said, I'm not going to buy the car, but I have a question, or maybe it's an offer. He said, you think you'd be interested in coming to work for me? And I'm like, I probably spent a couple of hours knowing this guy, talking to him, trying to sell him a car. Something about me he liked. And I went and interviewed for the job, and I got the job. And then I've been in the card business, not the car, but the card business ever since. So 36 years.
That's great. That is good. I've been in the industry, what I do for 17. And you see this office here
Hmm.
that they're in? So this is where I start my company, my old company started.
Oh, really?
So Rennie he rents off of my old boss. I now work for his son. But he goes,
Okay.
mutual friend in common. He said, Allison Carr, he goes, oh, great salesperson. She cranked out and made me a lot of money. He made $8 million in this
Wow.
place. Yeah. I'll never forget, he handed me a sale and he goes, I'll literally scratch a paper and he goes, if you could read it and stick it in the system, it's yours. Well, I did.
Yeah.
I really did. Oh, well, it's just like anything else. You gotta learn the products and then get your whole spiel together.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll have a little learning curve with it, but the more you get into it, everything will start sticking.
How many sales reps do you have here?
Well, we only have 5 inbound sales reps, so they really don't make outbound calls. They just take people calling in, inquiring about the card. And then the rest of our sales team is either regional sales managers or national account sales managers. So it's all upstream. I think the regional guys do like 50 to maybe 150 trucks, and then the national guys do, or maybe they do 50 to 500, and the national guys do like 500 up. And there's probably maybe 10 of those guys in total across the country, guys and gals across the country.
US Diesel, we're just a branch. How can we say that?
You guys,
Yeah,
you'd be an agent or a channel partner.
okay, channel partner.
Excuse me.
Channel partners is typically the way I'd describe it.
Channel partner, good to know. Well, because we bought like, it's called Mobile Health and MedScope, that people are calling for like mobile health. I'm like, I understand that you own that now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just partnerships. That's all.
Mhm.
People, like, again, in conversation, people are gonna ask me things.
That's right.
How long you been in business for? Oh, 10 years. All right, Dean, I guess I talked to you enough as it is. So you sent me that stuff over then?
I've already sent it to you, Allison. So just check your email.
I got it. All right, Dean.
All right. Take care. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.